What is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation starts right now for the very last time. For me, I think for everybody involved in this crew for baseball season this year, there will be, I assume, a Saturday show talking baseball. But for myself and this crew, it is our last time talking baseball. It's been a long 6 months. Still some stuff to be determined. There's some playoff implications out there that are lurking. Not on our slate, but Detroit has a chance to lock up a playoff spot for the very first time since 2014 in the very same game. If Detroit does win, the White Sox become the worst team in baseball all time. So huge implications there, both sides of that game. We're starting to see some resting stuff. The Yankees, no Judge tonight, no Stanton tonight. We're going to get this kind of thing coming down the stretch. Minnesota, one of the reasons why Detroit's got a chance to lock up their spot tonight, because Minnesota's been sputtering. They've been a disaster. They've been losing a ton. They're still alive mathematically, so they're going to do everything they can possible to get that dub versus TayeBojangles and the Baltimore Orioles. Help me out here for the next hour, 15 minutes. Head Chopper, Chop, happy Friday. How are things?
I mean, I don't know how I got stuck on a Friday show in baseball this time of year, but I did. But it's okay, Dean. I'm ready to grind through it. This is the grind. I'm ready to grind through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not happy to be here and talk to myself in Kirkwood? I don't know why you wouldn't appreciate it. It's a good time. We're going to have fun.
I mean, other than like trying to pump out some CFB content and make my lineups for tomorrow because it's an early start, not like NFL. Oh, and do the NFL content late in the week. And I still need to glance at the NFL pool for my own personal use. And aside from all that, yeah, it's fine to be here, Dean, on a Friday at this time.
UFC have you risen up in the ranks, by the way, Chop? Word in the street was you didn't, come out of the gate hot season long, the RG season long. I heard that there was rumblings. Have you jumped up in the standings? The cream always rises to the top, and it's a long season, so we're all expecting you to get there eventually, Chop.
Yeah, he kind of called me out, and had a really good week last week on the spreads. And
there you go.
Well, here's the thing, Dean. Right, so I'm like, all right, let's do a little competition now. This is where we're at, right? So let me see. What was that? Week 3. Yeah, I come out last week. I did pretty good. I was in the top portion of the people last week. And I'm like, all right, this is going to be a nice little competition. Roth wants a little head-to-head here. And I look, and he didn't even make any picks last week. He just completely bailed on the whole thing and skipped it, Dean. I'm just so disgusted in that, man. I'm just disgusted.
What are the rules? What do you take an L for?
He got 0 points last week. No, I don't think you can rebound from that.
You're a classy gentleman, but you're probably going to remind him of this when he comes on the show about an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe you'll let him know. You got to let him know. That's what I'm told.
I mean, I might, if I can remember. You got to remind me because I don't remember these things. But yeah, it's weird. Weird how that happens. It's weird how some people don't want the smoke, but it's all right. I'll say it. I digress. Looks like it's me and you right now. It's a little 2-man booth. I think Kirk had a little errand.
I think he's on baby duty. It sounds like context clues. I thought I heard a baby in the background, so I'm guessing. Here we go.
The baby fell. And was crying.
Yeah. We got sound effects.
Is everybody good now?
Kind of. Gave him some cookies. So he's getting to the point where I can't just leave him in the playpen because he's like getting too big, and he'll try to climb out of it. So Lauren was supposed to be home, but she's late. And what are you gonna do?
All right. Well, if you need to sneak away, by all means, no worries. Myself and Chop will hold it down, but we're happy to have you if you're good to go. Welcome to Friday, Kirkwood. You're talking about MMA as well. Yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of sports, a lot of overlap, and of course, basketball coming out pretty soon, hockey coming out pretty soon. Baseball, of course, ending the regular season, but it never stops. Golf is still grinding away. And we're going to be knocking out this baseball slate and NFL. A lot of NFL news is coming out today as well. Players in, players out. Adjust the rankings.
Fantasy trade implications are coming through every single day, every hour. Dean, give Chop. So this is great having you both on here. So Chop used to be the CEO of the drafter for the Barack League. and we tanked. And then he got an invitation. We tanked so hard that he got an invitation to join the league, but he didn't do it. He didn't find that funny. And you drafted it. You crushed it. You crushed it. But now you get to see how Barack is. He's not only is he in the trade streets every single day proposing scenarios, but man, it can get a little bit too much, don't you think?
You know that there's the term like silent partner. He's definitely not a silent partner. He's a very, very active partner.
Does he wake you up, Dean? Is it like a little alarm going off? You're probably zoned out at that time of day.
My phone is like on mute. This is an embarrassing thing too. I don't know how to turn my ringer on my phone. It doesn't ring. I have it on. Like it makes noise if I want to play music or listen to a podcast, but it doesn't ring. It's very strange. So I don't hear any of the dings. And it's also like if I don't text somebody back a day later, it's like, yeah, I just never saw it. My bad.
No, so it was like last night. It was like, all right, I went ahead with the trade without Dean seeing. And he just was too impatient. It was maybe like a half an hour of time that he didn't respond. And
tell him to relax. It's going to be
he's
okay.
The CEO. He's the CEO, and
yeah,
you can see why.
All right, 12 gamer tonight. Again, we may or may not get some wonky lineups. We saw the Dodgers clinched their division last night, beating the Padres. But the Padres in Arizona, they play against each other. You both have things to play for as far as playoff shuffling. Arizona's not officially in. They're trying to get their way in. LA was, popping the champagne, drinking the champagne, but they're also battling for best record in the National League with Philadelphia. I believe Philadelphia might have the tiebreaker too. So I think there's a pretty good chance we get a pretty standard Dodger lineup tonight in Coors. Have you heard the Dodgers in Coors Field? Yeah. We'll see. We don't have that just yet. But I think there's a good chance, and they get a couple days off with their bye anyway. But we'll see. Stay tuned as far as that. There is one team that has a team total on the slate above 6. There is one team on this slate that has a team total above 5. It's the same team. It's only the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers and Coors, and then there's everybody else. And the Yankees lineup, of course, they took a hit. Yeah, Justin in chat is already calling out the Knockers chop. We have to get those likes up for the Knockers. Hit that
is that the Justin we know?
I'm not sure.
I believe that is our Farmer.
That's Farmer. So I can't. Can you blow up the picture in there? Is that his wife there?
What are we doing here? Is this somebody from your secret chat? I don't know who Justin is. I just saw a random chatter say we need some Knockers, and producer Steve threw it up on the screen. There you go. That is your personal.
For everybody that has tuned in and stuck with us throughout the season, Farmer Justin Smith is the Baltimore fan.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Does he know he watch the show and hear all you taking all those shots against Baltimore?
And it's a shame. Like he talked so much in July, in June, in May, and that's not really when things matter. And look at him looking up at the Yankees now. It's funny how far they fell. But he's got the playoffs, so maybe they'll do it. But I have a feeling they won't be winning a World Series this season.
Well, I mean,
wish him all the best. I'm rooting for him, though. I'm rooting for him.
It definitely sounds like it. You've taken like 100 random shots against Baltimore on the season, unprompted out of nowhere, and it was all just for Justin's pleasure or displeasure. Okay. So again, pretty clear that the Dodgers locked in for 9 in Coors. We don't have the lineup just yet. We'll adjust accordingly. That's kind of where we're at here, Chop. You want to give me the overview as far as the slate pitching? It's kind of a mishmash of,
I don't know.
Go ahead. What do you got?
I don't know. So I don't think we're going to get a full-fledged Dodgers lineup, like the good one. I really think we're going to get like I know they want the home field advantage and all that, but I just feel like most times when they come off of popping bottles the night before, you don't get. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And that has obviously big implications on the slate. It also has, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but this has big implications on the PvP suggestion of the day too. I need a Dodgers lineup. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, as far as the pitching goes, it's weird, Dean. There's some really solid pitching tonight. And so much so that when I did my pregame rankings of the tiers to get a heads up. Boy, I had a lot of teams in the 3 and 4 category, like way down there. Just nothing could jump out to me. I think there's some really solid pitching, some lineups that don't look good, that are not normal. That doesn't help things. And so, yeah, it's just going to be a weird Friday slate, man. Just completely off the rails.
It's pretty flat as far as ownership too. We're currently showing Pavetta with the biggest ownership, but it's a little bit surprising. But I kind of get it. 23% on DK. Again, it's really flat. Pretty good price against Tampa. It doesn't look like the best weather for baseball either in Fenway. Maybe Kirkwood can confirm the old boots in the ground.
It's a little bit warmer today. Sunny, strong sun. Didn't feel too windy. Let me look up real quick.
Weatherheads didn't like it for what it's worth. 70. It's 70 degrees. Is warmer? 70 is warm.
Well, warmer than the other days.
Okay.
Recently.
Yeah,
like
11% hitting home.
Today was by far the best day of the week here.
It doesn't look spectacular. By the way, 1-0 game in like an hour and a half earlier today with the Cubs. I don't know if you guys caught the weather in that game, but the total was 6.5. I meant to bet it, and I just forgot. But yeah, that was an easy win for the under in Chicago earlier today. Game just flew by. Hour and a half or so. Rodon, 22%. Minaya, 22% as well. He's actually got legit motivation. The Mets, of course, want to win. Brian Wu was the pitcher announced for Seattle. Seattle's out of it. They've kind of babied him on the year. I don't think they push him too hard, but he should be pretty good here against Oakland. Again, it was supposed to be Luis Castillo, but he's almost definitely not going to pitch the rest of the season now. I think he was dealing with a hammy or something like that. There's no reason for him to go back out there. Miles Michaelis, and quite possibly, almost likely, his very last game throwing baseballs for the Cardinals in San Fran. He's not good. We know he's not good, but he'll throw some strikes. And if BABIP's on his side, he's super cheap, and San Fran's not great. So I think he's kind of sort of somewhat the cheapie, the de facto cheapie. If you can get 15 points out of him, you're thrilled. There's Reed Detmers taking on Texas. Taj Bradley, 11%. Pablo Lopez, fully motivated. Pablo Lopez, Minnesota, again, probably depressed. They lost to the Marlins last night in 13 innings, or maybe it was 14 innings. They had the bases loaded with nobody out, tie game, and they could not score. Just pathetic. Just a pathetic.
And I had them small though. I'm lucky. I've been betting it's been a prick fest betting all these the games that for these guys that still have meaningful games or the day after the champagne. Yeah, I had Minnesota. I hit them live when they were down 4-0, so it was like a nice payout. But I couldn't believe they just blew it. I mean, what did you see? Jeffers' bunt. He popped up the bunt. Horrendous.
They doubled him up at second base. Was it Santana? I think.
Yeah.
Just just bad baseball for Minnesota all around, and they deserve to not make the playoffs, and Detroit does, and that's probably what's going to happen. Minnesota just absolutely sputtering. Feel bad for Twins fans. They've always had some misfortune. It's been a while since Ken Herbick and Kirby Puckett have walked through that door, or even like Joe Mauer, right? And those guys, Justin Morneau. All right. Do you have thoughts here, Kirkwood? There's a lot of guys you can throw at pitcher. By the way, one of my favorites I haven't even mentioned just yet is Jose Barrios at 7%, taking on a Marlins team. That's not great. They're not as horrendous as you might think, but they also aren't very good. And Barrios has been spectacular of late. He's closed the season really, really strong. I can see one more good start out the door. We don't look at ERA a lot, but his ERA in the season is 3.2 or 3.3. It's really, really good. Obviously, it's a really good inning in here as well. Good chance to get the W because I think Toronto is facing quite possibly one of the worst pitchers on the board. So I do like Barrios. I think he's kind of my sneaky tournament guy I wrote up today in the survey. Kirko, what do you got? Is there a way you're kind of whittling this down? Max Fried, meaningful game as well. Another good pitcher. Not the best matchup against KC. KC, another team that's motivated. There's just a lot of guys where it's if you want to pitch him, sure. I'm not gonna shoot it down, but not a ton of conviction either.
Okay. My thoughts are I'll throw Rodon out, even though he's the projection darling today against Pitt, and I get it, but he's been coming on strong and his velocity's been up and probably won't be up in this game, I would imagine. And with the Yankees, they have a watered down lineup too as well. So I'm just not sure how hard they're going to push him here. DeGrom, you get the limited pitch count. Maybe if it gets up to like 70 plus, then that could be worth it. But it's a gamble. Manaea, I'm all for him. Love Manaea in this spot with everything to play for. That's what you want. Same thing with Fried. Love him. If you want to chase the upside, you go with Pivetta. It's a good match against Tampa. Tampa is certainly will strike out with the best of them, and that could go either way, right? Like Pivetta could absolutely go ham and strike out a bunch of batters. Could give up a bunch of bombs. Could do both at the same time. But Wu, I'm okay with. Barrios, I'm okay with. Detmers, and then so I think you pick your top one out of there. But if you want to save some money, I think you go Pivetta, Mikolas, and that's only because it's in San Fran, and it's just I don't feel like anyone's going to go absolutely nuts and break the slate tonight at pitcher, and so he's somebody that could throw a bunch of efficient innings in that ballpark. They K with the best of them. I think they're like third since the All-Star break in strikeouts, and so you could bump him up maybe a strikeout or two. But he is not a high K guy. He's got the lowest strike rate on the slate, but he also has the lowest walk rate on the slate. So he's so cheap. That's the only reason. But I think you pick out one of those unless you guys got more that you like. Definitely open to hearing.
Yeah, I'm with similar. Like I like a bunch. I'm willing to roster 8-9 guys possibly, but I'm not. I don't know if it's like, well, I must get this guy or have to get that guy. If I land on Fried, just kind of how my salary works, so be it. Sure, I'll play some Fried. I do like the Pivetta call, just because of the K's there against Tampa, and he seems a little bit discounted too. This lineup that Tampa's rolling out, there is no Christopher Morel, which is, I guess, a bad thing because he strikes out so much. He does have power. 22.7% as far as the Ks. So it's not the most strikeout happy lineup for Tampa. And again, we talked about the weather, not the best weather for hitting baseballs today in Boston. Chop, you heard a lot of names. Any of those guys sort of pop out for you? Or it's just sort of you making your stack first, you're making your lineup first, and then it's like, okay, which two pitchers fit amongst these 7 or 8 I like?
Yeah. So Dean, first off, I'd like to say, man, I need an Orioles win tonight, like nothing else, man. I need the Orioles to win tonight.
The series, the team,
you and Justin.
Win totals.
Yeah, I need a sweep. But what's if I get the 90.5, so I need a sweep. If Baltimore wins tonight, then Minnesota's out. They'll shut it down. I got a pretty good shot at the last two. Tonight's the key win though, because shit, you got Povich on the mound. Boy, he sucks. We'll see how that goes. But as far as the pitching tonight, Dean, nobody's really jumping out, standing off like. I don't know about the Rodon the night after the champagne popping for the Yankees or whatever they did. Who knows what they do out there in New York these days? But I don't know if I want to go that route. I will tell you. Let me say this, Dean. How does this sound to you? So Pivetta is below 8K on DK. He has the second highest K rate, 29.1% K on the slate, and gets a great matchup. He comes into today with a 3.31 Sierra, 31% K rate. He should have had a normal workload, and the Rays active roster ranks third in K since the All-Star break. Pivetta can always blow up, but I like chasing the strikeouts, and the Rays aren't very good.
I like him too.
That's good stuff right there. That's good stuff.
Excellent analysis. Brought to you by Kirk Deese in the lineup HQ. If you have a lineup HQ, you get.
I was just going to say what Chop was saying is exactly what I'd say. He nailed it.
This is the kind of content you get if you get lineup HQ. It's good stuff. Yeah,
Hey, Kirkwood. I'm sorry. I'll ask this to Chop. I was going to ask Kirkwood, but Chop, I don't know if you can come up with anything off the top of your head. But do you have any thoughts about Miles Mikolas by chance? Anything about Miles Mikolas you want to share that maybe what are your thoughts as far as him taking on San Fran today?
Well, he has the lowest K rate on the slate.
Yeah.
It's not by much. And he always has the lowest walk rate, only 3.4% walk ratio. He's dirt cheap, 5,500 on D, 6,900 on FanDuel. In a great park for pitching. The Giants are a good matchup, which should help that K rate just a little bit. 7 out of the 9 Giants in the projected lineup have at least a 24.3% K rate, and the Giants are ranked second in K rate since the All-Star break. This could work, Dean. This could work.
That's really good. So. I mean, I might be pushing it here, Chop. I may be pushing it, but if I can ask this, well, if you can indulge me, you talk about Pavetta. But what about the other side of that game? Any interest in Taj Bradley? What's your take on Bradley today?
Do you want my real take or do you want Beimfor's take?
I don't know if we're doing the
Did you read it as
I mean, you pushed it. No, I mean, personally, I do like Bradley. He's got some talent, a lot of talent. It's at Boston. That's a tough park, a tough venue, but he's talented. And, obviously – they've kind of mailed it in. I'm not saying they mailed it in, but
they mailed it in.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's over. They're not that good. There's no mailing. It's just not a good team.
They competed, Dean, for a long time for a playoff spot, but it just wasn't going to happen this year. But
a lot of strikeouts in that lineup.
Yeah, Bradley's just got the arm talent. So on a night like tonight, what else? We're talking. I'm telling you, some of these guys who are good pitchers are not going to get the full pitch count tonight, and you got to be aware of that. So. If your team is out of contention, or if your team is or if your team has clinched and there's nothing to play for, that starting pitcher, there's a chance he gets pulled a little bit earlier. If you're out of contention and it's a good pitcher, he might get pulled a little earlier. So, a guy like Taj Bradley, I think, is pretty safe for that reason, and it's not a bad matchup. So he's not bad.
So, not to cut you off, Chop, but Bradley's the one I'm a little bit concerned with, just because Tampa. They haven't done this recently, which is interesting, right? 103 pitches last time for Bradley. Before that, 99. Before that, 90. Before that, 100. But they have pumped the brakes on him at times. This is probably the most innings he's ever thrown in a season. I'm guessing. I have not confirmed that. I've not looked. I can see him being like one of those 4-inning guys and done. But, you don't know. That's just guessing. There's no way projections can capture that. I just don't know why. There's no upside in pushing him. Why does he have to go 7 innings? He can. I just don't see any reason why. I think there's a better chance of a guy like Barrios that can do that, just because he's a veteran. Every single year, that guy's pumping out like top 10, innings.
So he's not.
A little bit cautious with Bradley.
As well, you should be a little bit cautious with a lot of guys. But when I look at his numbers, he's not that far surpassed what he did last year. He's not that far past last year. So. You kind of got to climb incrementally as a starting pitcher so that someday you can actually maybe get up to 180 innings. It doesn't happen overnight. So, maybe they let him have a shot at going out there, but he's not that far off. And, 132 innings this year ain't too bad. Yeah. If he's got his stuff going, it's fine. Like there's just a ton of the guys. You singled him out as the guy to ask me about, but the truth is he's kind of in the same tier with a whole bunch of other guys that I don't know, tough to make anything out of any of them.
DeGrom's not going to pitch. I don't even know why DeGrom's throwing one baseball today, let alone 65 or 70. That just makes zero sense to me. I do not understand that.
DeGrom can win you a GPP.
Why in the world? In 4 innings, he's going to strike out 10. I guess he can.
He could.
It's not bonkers.
He could, man.
It's just so weird that he's even throwing baseballs.
Why? Okay, we're going to have a.
What is the upside? They're committed to him the next 2 years.
I know. Well, he's not going to go out there and throw his arm out tonight. You got to let him. Sure. He hasn't pitched, but what has he pitched this year? 20 innings. Might as well let him go out there. Yeah, let him get some work in, man. In a matchup. In a matchup against a terrible offensive team against right-handers, sure, he can go out there and pitch 5 innings and absolutely dominate, and it's a great price tag. But yeah, I don't think there's a downside to playing him. If he's going to get hurt now,
have you seen his career? Jacob deGrom.
If he gets hurt now, then it's just as likely he gets hurt in spring training or off-season workouts, taking a bath. The guys could pull 100 pence and take a bath and get hurt, man. I don't know if you heard.
Is that 100 Pence got hurt? I don't remember that story. He took a bath and got hurt.
How do you're deep in the bath story. So
no, he was an Astro at the time. I remember, man. The dude freaking slipped coming out the bathtub and rammed his hand through the glass, and so he was out for a long time. But if you're injury prone, you're injury prone. Might as well get some innings in here. It's your last shot of the year. But yeah, anyway, they're going to let him go. Whether you like it or not, they're going to let him pitch. And in this matchup, he could smash because the Angels are just like mailing it in.
Baseball has the weirdest injuries. I just Googled it. And there's some wild ones over the history. Marty Cordova falls asleep in a tanning bed is the first one that pops up.
Oof,
yeah, Matt Cain injuring himself making a sandwich. I do remember that story. Will Smith tearing his LCL, taking off his shoes. There's the Trevor Bauer drone incident.
Chris Sale with the infected belly button ring.
That was that actually true, or you're making that up? I think you're making that up.
That was a story for sure.
Sammy Sosa threw his back out sneezing. If you guys remember that, I do remember that story.
I've done that myself. I've sneezed. Do you ever get like these like little things that flicker in your head? I'm screwed up, so I might get a lot of different things than other people. But I like sneeze too hard, and all of a sudden I get these little like flickers. Could be from past college activities or something, but.
I'm not Chop. Have you experienced that?
What's that?
Little flickers, like I sneeze, and like all of a sudden I get.
No, it doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah.
Producer Steve telling us Cespedes, falling off a horse, breaking both of his ankles.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah. Jason Isringhausen broke his wrist punching a trash can, and then he got tuberculosis as well. Okay. It's like
a lot of people have punching in the clubhouse has happened a lot, like with injuries.
Yes. The Gatorade, yeah. There's a lot of.
There's always stupid motorcycle accidents.
Well, remember, was it Jeff Kent who pretended he had a different injury and he actually was on like a moped, but like it was in his contract he wasn't allowed to ride one, so he had to make up an injury. Yeah. I think it was Kent. It became a whole thing. Anyways, derailing the show here, but Cespedes has an encounter with a wild boar and he fractured his ankle. Is that what it was? Was it not a horse? Was it a wild boar? Or do they have two different animal-related incidents? I don't know, but that is kind of bonker. That was Bumgarner. Yeah, Bumgarner rents a dirt bike, crashes it, and he pretended it was something else. Shocking, that Mad Bum. Ugh, not my favorite player. What a curmudgeon. Anyways, if you have any other pictures you want to throw out there in chat, by all means, throw them out there. Edwin Diaz celebrating in the WBC, tearing his knee. Who was the guy who hit the walk-off grand slam? Kendrys Morales. The walk-off grand slam for the Angels, tore everything as he was celebrating at home, and basically his career ended.
People in chat are saying a vicious rumor that I don't think is true, but we need to give you the benefit of the doubt and ask you at least.
You don't have to ask me.
You didn't slip and fall at Diddy's baby oil once?
Yeah.
I did not. I can say that that did not happen.
I didn't think
Thank you for the sound effect, producer Steve. Steve is having a lot of fun with his soundboard of late. Any other pictures that are worth mentioning here as we move on? Because again, there's a whole bunch. There's definitely some you just cross out. As far as the slew of pitchers, there's 24 taking the bump tonight. But Aller, Quantrill, Cantillo, Roop. I think Darvish I'm throwing out. I don't want Kelly. Blanco's a no. That Yankee lineup is kind of weak. Do we think Jared Jones kind of enters the conversation, Chop? Is he somebody we can consider? No Judge, no Stanton.
Not? Yeah,
there's somebody else that's missing.
Consider it, brother. Consider it. Yes. Consider it.
It's Stanton and Judge.
Yeah, it was a watered down lineup tonight. He came out, Jared Jones obviously hasn't been great. He had a rough stretch there after a monster start, man. He can strike guys out. He's got the run prevention a little bit under control now. He's getting up there with some decent innings at some points here late in the year, 6-7 innings in some outings. And yeah, it's a bad lineup. And
that's a great point. Are the A's just cooked? Someone just said in chat the A's are done since their season ended. Reality, their last game in Oakland.
Ooh.
Their season. Are they going to be? Were they up reminiscing all night, partying, or anything?
I mean, I think it's the fans, really. The players. Well, I guess that next year it's going to be Sacramento, whatever nonsense going to be going on there. But eventually, if you're still on this organization, the amenities in Oakland are not good. So you're probably looking forward to better amenities at some point down the road. So they're probably going to miss the clubhouse guys and the people in the organization that lost their job and all that kind of stuff. But which the whole situation is, I'm like too upset about that. It's like I don't, just the whole situation bothered me. I don't like the way it was handled, and we'll be screwed it up. And it's not even done yet, obviously. But their season's kind of over, if that's what you're asking. And Woo's not the guy I really want to pick on anyway. Sure, you can play yourself some A's, but I'm not terribly interested. By the way, they were asking about in chat, I saw what we have as far as the umpire data we have. Not all of it is in just yet. Of course, bunch of new series. But we do have 2 extreme hitters umpires, the way it is right now, for Montas, Blanco, Cantillo, and Minaya. Manaya's got an extreme hitters umpire. He's been awesome of late. So, I think you could still, ideally, I'd rather not have that. But still, certainly, Minaya is in the pool. Is that a Dodger lineup? The Dodger lineup just drop on us? It did. No Muncy. Good Lord. No Muncy. Ohtani, Betts, Lux hitting third. No Will Smith as well. So they're doing half measures. Ohtani, Betts, Lux, Teoscar, Edman, Enrique Kike Hernandez, Pajes, Taylor, and Barnes. So, yeah. A couple of their key guys are out. Muncy and Smith. But, all right. Either do it or don't. But that's where we're at as far as the Dodgers. Their team total might take a slight hit. It's going to be cheaper to get some of these guys in there. But I guess some pinch hit risk might be bumped up. We'll see. Do we care about this? You guys as flustered by this as I am? Well, I'm flustered because I wrote up Muncy earlier today. He was the guy I wrote up, and I can't really write up somebody new on the fly right now. Kirkwood, how do we go with the Dodgers lineup?
It's like a bull mastiff, 2-week-old dog water, but it's still the best spot on the night. So,
yeah, okay. It's easier to stack. You could say that for sure. And so I'm curious how that's going to change things, but they're still going to have the biggest total on the board. They're still in Coors. They're still facing Cal Quantrill. But still waiting for, I guess, Texas and the Angels, San Fran, St. Louis, San Diego. San Diego, again, still something to play for despite officially losing the NL West to the Dodgers last night. All right. Anything else we got to say as far as pitchers? That was just one of the lineups that I thought was pretty important to talk about. You got a final word here, Kirkwood, as far as pitchers? Have you locked your pitchers in, or is it kind of like get your hitters first and then 2 of these guys are fine?
Yeah. I'm probably just going to how do I even spend the money now? Well, I'm probably going to just play Pivetta and Mikolas, but I do like any of these guys. I like Max Fried. I like Minaya. I don't care about the ump. I like Berrios. I would take a shot on Detmers. I think you're going to get a good start out of Lopez, Taj, Bradley. You can. So any of those guys I said. So it's any mixed match, however I want to do it. But I don't have any clear must plays tonight.
Chop, final word as far as pitchers before we talk about some stacks.
Final word, Dean. The word to me is average. There's a lot of average pitchers out there. So I don't know. It feels to me like I don't need to you asked a question earlier about lineup build, and it's different for every slate. And this is one where I would just hold off on my pitching until I figure out, number one, what stack I want. If there's any individual one-offs I really need to have or want to have, and then I can go circle back to pitching because they all seem the same to me. They all kind of blend in together.
All right. Going to talk stacks in just a second. Do want to mention Combo Lite. If you guys are not aware of RG Combo Lite, if you're looking to take your game to the next level without spending a ton of bucks, without breaking the bank, check out Combo Lite. Powerful product. You get access to all the tools you need to dominate your leagues, sim tools, databases. That's the stat databases. Of course, expert advice as well, all in one place. The best part here, it's designed for both casual players and serious competitors. Whether you're playing for fun or chasing that big cash prize, Combo Lite has you covered. do go ahead and check out the links in the description for more information. Additionally, it's been out there for a while, but if you're not aware, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Lab, known as SimLabs, just got even better. It got better. Why is it better? Because in addition to the desktop tool on the web, you can actually download it now, the SimLabs web mobile app from your app store. Use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hands. It is available to both combo and single sport subs, or if you're not a combo sub, if you're not a single sub, go ahead and get it a la carte in the Apple Store. Check it out now. All right. Going to talk our stacks in just a second. This was Chop's idea, by the way. Good idea for today's category, and I imagine the chat's going to chime in here. It is our very last, there's a baseball show tomorrow, I assume, but it's the finale. It's the finale this season for baseball, essentially.
This is the finale, and Chop. So Chop didn't want to be on, but he realized that the company obviously wanted the dream go out with a bang here. That's the way that they scheduled it.
Well, there's probably somebody on the schedule tomorrow that you might be slighting to say that they're not even. I've not checked the schedule, but
I don't play baseball on weekends. So.
Producer Steve, pull up the schedule for tomorrow. We'll let you know if it's if we actually are really going out with a bang and they're bringing in the C team tomorrow. Pull up the schedule, please.
Let's see. Tomorrow is looks like Tim and Britt and Will is what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
so
there's
shots fired.
Yeah, schedule maker Devin is definitely punting.
Mailing it in. He mailed it in.
He's punting that show.
No, that's like the Saturday crew. What do you mean mailing it in? That's the standard crew.
Tim is great. I agree, Lip. Tim is great.
And the other two, like saying that.
Like I said, Devin's mailing it in.
Tim is in chat. He says he's calling out tomorrow now. So there you go. Gonna get Devin in chat.
I love Tim. Tim is the cream of the crop of that show. Tim, for real, you carry that show, brother.
Tim is spectacular. They're all spectacular.
Yeah,
they're real and they're spectacular. So what was your tell the people. I don't want to steal your idea, Chop, but tell the people what your idea was, and I want to get some interaction here in the chat.
Oh, we're doing that.
What's today's? Yeah. What's today's category?
Well, since it is the more or less the finale for baseball, the finale show, we decided to tier up the best and worst series finales. And believe me, there's a lot to choose from. Lots were left off the list. We had to get it down to only 5 in each category, but that's kind of where we went. Series finales, best and worst, the good ones, the bad ones, and the things that are in between. So that's where we went, Dean, for the finale. Finales for the finale.
Let's see. Let us know, chat. Tell us the best TV finale. Chop, this is kind of a joint effort here. Well, Chop, you lobbied for Lost. I personally had Lost a lot lower, but you lobbied for it and ended up in the middle because I guess it's divisive.
Well, first of all, you had the 2 up top, Dean. So why don't you explain the 2 up top for us?
I mean, it goes
before that. When you say joint, you mean just you two, right? Because every one of my suggestions didn't make it. So
what was your suggestion? Entourage?
Yeah.
We agreed. It just didn't
down at Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, well, that was Chop lobbied for Sons of Anarchy, and that was not original.
Oh, I love Bobby's in chat. The Leftovers. That was a great show and a great finale. That was a phenomenal finale.
Nobody watched that show.
It had the guy from Mork and Mindy or something like one.
No, from Perfect Strangers.
Yeah, that's
the guy from Mork and Mindy is Robin.
Robin Williams.
Whoa, he's not doing any shows anytime soon.
Oh, Chop. Seriously, what are we doing?
What? I'm just letting the people know. He's not. Don't expect Robin Williams to be on a show anytime soon. Goodness,
that was a great show though. The Leftovers. It's like 3 different shows and 3 different seasons. It's spectacular, but it's one of those shows you can't recommend because most people won't like it. You have to actually pay attention, and people don't. They want to be on their phone. They don't want to actually sit down and watch a TV show and just close all their apps. Anyways, yeah. I mean, the 2 best shows of this century. Vince Gilligan, just absolutely incredible the world he's built, and for Breaking Bad and building out of it with Better Call Saul, which is punched so far above his weight. I thought it was going to be like just kind of like some kind of money grab, but it was outstanding. It was a prequel. It was a sequel. That world is just, I mean, I don't think anything's ever going to compete with it. So Vince Gilligan, just all the flowers to that team. Two best, and the finales, they stuck the landing both times. Both times just absolutely spectacular. Cannot recommend it enough. Chop, you have Lost third, Sons of Anarchy's fourth. You can talk about that. Dexter, I think it just kind of had to be. This is why we couldn't put Entourage there, because Dexter's just got a spot. It's claimed. Like there's nothing topping the finale of Dexter. Maybe Game of Thrones. I know people hate Game of Thrones, but people dropping spoilers in chat for Breaking Bad. I know it's been 10 years, but like, come on, do we have to spoil? Where's Alf?
Alf was an electric show. That was an electric show.
The funny thing about Alf is that they ended it on a cliffhanger. Like Alf was getting taken by the authorities, or the authorities were like outside the door, and the show was canceled. So people didn't know how it ended, right? It's, when the show leaves on a cliffhanger and they don't come back, they don't get renewed. But then they had a TV movie years later, which I never watched. Mad Max 6 Feet Under was spectacular. Did not make the board, but that's an incredible finale. Yes, Boardwalk Empire also. I saw some in chat. That's definitely a show you should put on your list if you've never seen it. It is spectacular. But yeah, just there's not, like Chop said, there's just not enough spots. There's not enough spots. There's only so many shows that go around. I don't know what's worse than the Dexter finale. Sons of Anarchy wasn't good. Chop had to remind us. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Because basically the last couple seasons were bad at that show. That's certainly watered down. But yeah, Chop, give me the pitch as far as Lost. Tell us why Lost was good, I guess, is what I'm asking. I did not think it was.
Well, Dean, I think a lot of people will say Lost, the finale stunk, but it didn't really stink, I don't think. I just think it just, when you get to that show, those first couple of seasons, and it's so good. And you just think that at some point it's going to end and it's going to be the perfect ending, and it's not. It's hard to live up to that. So I didn't mind it. There's not a lot you're going to be able to do with that show. It was so good for 2 seasons. Like, that might be the best TV ever for the first 2 seasons. I know you like your Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but
it's very good
for its time and where it was at. That was very good, and they just couldn't stick the landing. So, but I didn't mind it though. But I just think it was more people being disappointed because you expect greatness. Sons of Anarchy, man, that was just, I loved that show for a couple seasons. Then that
Peg was good. Peg was pretty good on that show.
And the ending to that thing was
Katie Seagal is what you're doing. Yeah.
Why?
It took me a second to give me
why? And then in chat, Ekim says, "Where's Happy Days?" I don't know if Happy Days was going to be on this board, but little known fact, Dean, the term "jump the shark" came from
Not
Happy
a little
Days.
known fact, but go ahead. Tell the 2 people who don't know.
Okay. Maybe you know it, Dean.
Everybody knows this.
No, not everybody knows that "jump the shark" came from Happy Days.
Steve, make a poll. Do you know the origin of the term "jump the shark"?
Now people are just going to lie one way or another.
Why would they lie?
That's what you do in polls, man.
It's a harmless poll.
You push the opposite of what you really think. Just to
so tell the people where it came from. The 3 people don't know.
It came from Happy Days. That's all. It was a Fonzarella scene. Fonzie did a scene, jumped a shark. He literally jumped a shark, and everything was downhill from there for Happy Days.
I didn't watch that show, but I do know the clip. Yeah, like he literally jumped the shark. Wow, I think he was wearing his jacket too. I think he wore his jacket while jumping the shark, and that was the term. And if you don't know that, that's what it means that the show is no longer what it used to be. It's no longer good. But let's see if I thought everybody knows this. At least half people know this. Kirkwood, did you know the term? You know the term, right?
No, I didn't know.
Oh, now you're just saying that. You're just lying. It's like a poll.
No, I'm being honest. I didn't know.
All right. Did you watch?
I watched Happy Days.
I didn't either, but like I just know the term. You hear it.
I know the term. I thought it was from Howard Stern. Jumped the shark for some reason.
Well, that John Haim is the guy who created the world, and he ended up selling it to, I believe, what was the name of that magazine that or the people used to buy the TV Guide. I think he sold it to TV Guide, which like a great purchase. TV Guide. We haven't heard from you since. Is there a more like a relic? Well, is TV Guide still a thing? Is there a website TV Guide? I don't know. I think that's who he sold it to. Anyways, by the way, early results are split 50-50 as far as the term.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
44-56.
That's not 50-50, bro.
It's the margin of error, Chop. It's a margin of error.
50-50 and 40 46-50 56-44 in sports betting is a huge difference, Dean. Wouldn't you imagine?
I would agree with that, yes. All right, let's go ahead and rank these teams. Stuttering Yoda says, yes, TV Guide is still a thing. I deliver them on my route. I cannot.
People still have routes?
What is the average age of a person that is subscribed?
Oh, man. The good old days, like Dean. 80, right? This goes to what I told you the other day, Dean, about the internet. So good to sit down with a TV guide back in the day and see what's coming on for the week. Oh, it's so good, Dean.
But now it's worthless.
Just a less impatient world of idiots chiming in on the internet, hosting.
It's also less efficient, Chop. It's less efficient and it's less accurate.
For sure. Okay, if you say so.
So producer Steve has halted our poll with you ahead, by the way. Great job.
So he wants, and so that's 56. That's an implied probability of minus 127, 56%.
Steve's is asking a very Chop-centric poll. Do you miss the good old days before the internet? Yeah, because Chop won on this rant the other day as well. But no, by the way, was the winner. But like we barely got enough people to even answer. So feel free to respond to that, Chop. Do you miss the good old days before the internet? I guess Chop's going to say yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Chris Longo is still watching Golden Girls reruns. My girl watches Golden Girls reruns all the time.
They were floating out the idea of a remake or whatever.
Blanche. You got Blanche. You got Sophia.
Dorothy. And then, of course, there's Rose.
Stan. The little known fact, that's the Stan from our chat, Stanley.
All right. That definitely is a little known fact because nobody knows anything about your chat because nobody's allowed in.
No, it's our RotoGrinders chats. It's Stan Kruger.
Oh, I thought you were talking about your private chat.
Stan,
yeah. And it's also not true. It's not a little known fact because you made it up. Besides that, very first game we're going to talk about. Chop, you're going first. Pittsburgh taking on the Yankees, 7.5 total. It is paltry. The Yankees total, their individual total took a hit because now there's no Judge, there's no Stanton, there's no Wells. It's barely 4 at this point, 7.5. Pittsburgh playing for nothing. I like the Yankees a bit earlier, but not as much with the absence of Judge, who I think he had 5 days in a row. We were banging out some homers. Where are we putting the Yankees in Pittsburgh, Chop?
Yeah, this one's one of those unattractive games, just kind of dead to me now. So Pittsburgh against Rodon, I can't have them too high because you just don't know what you're going to get from Rodon. It might be actually pretty good. So I'll put them in 4. Yeah, Sons of Anarchy. Yankees would have been higher had they had a full lineup, but we know what's going to happen here. It's a watered-down lineup. I'm going to put them in 3 just because Jones can be somewhat erratic, but that's giving them a lot of credit. They probably deserve to be lower than that after this lineup.
Any issues, Kirkwood?
Yeah, I'm not really too high on either of them. So that's fine. Might even be a little high, but yeah, it's good.
We'll keep it where it's at. By the way, Hoosier saying banners shouting out Freaks and Geeks. Yeah, probably the best one-season show of all time. Love that show. Amazing cast, too. Adam Oller for the Marlins taking on Jose Barrios, 8 total. Oller, one of the worst pitchers. This Marlins bullpen worked really hard last night, too, playing, 13 innings. It's not very good as is. I think Toronto, one of the better teams on the board. The lineup is not – there's some goofy names in there, but they are cheap. Where do we have Toronto and the Fish? What do you have me, Kirkwood?
Yeah, Oller, 5 Sierra, and very low strikeouts. Right? If I remember correctly, let me just look at
20%.
20%, 8.8% swing and strike rate. This is a guy who gets smashed by lefties. I like all the Blue Jays here. I like Spencer Horwitz a lot. I even like George Springer because he's cheap. On the sites, obviously, Vlad, but Barger. I like all the lefties plus the main power bets. So I like a lot of this lineup.
Did you put him in a spot?
I'll put him up at Better Call Saul, maybe even Breaking Bad, but Better Call Saul.
And the Marlins are in the gutter. Did you say they're in the gutter? Did you imply they're in the gutter?
I mean, Barris has been so freaking good. Yeah, you can gutter ball him.
Chopper?
I agree.
Tampa, Boston, Taj Bradley, Pivetta, two of the better pitchers taking the bump here. Not the best conditions also in Boston, just an 8 total. Boston is the slight favorite, minus 125. Chop, where are we throwing the Red Sox and the Rays?
Yeah. Unfortunately for the board here and for the stack enthusiasts, I'm putting both of these guys in Sons of Anarchy. I don't know what you're going to get out of Bradley, but even if it's not, it's probably not going to be a blow up for him. The worst case is he comes out after, X amount of innings. Well, he's still going to be good for X amount of innings. He's still got to face a bullpen that's all right. And so that's not good. And Pivetta on the other side, probably one of the better pitchers on the slate, and it's a bad offense. Yeah, 4. I'm going Sons of Anarchy. Doesn't do nothing.
Steve in chat saying what happened to Tyler O'Neill. I assume he's just getting shut down. I assume it's a back thing. There's no reason to play him. He's not in the lineup today. Wong is batting cleanup for Boston. Any issues here, Kirkwood? Both teams hanging out in Sons of Anarchy.
I'd actually put, as much as I like Pivetta, and he's probably my favorite pitcher, I think there's also a high risk of, some homers here too at the same time, even though Tampa Bay kind of stinks. So I would probably move him up to lost, but it's fine with me. And I just have no interest in Boston against Taj Bradley here. I mean, maybe a guy like Story, someone who still has some stuff to prove, but like they've mailed it in. Duran is going for like a highlight season, so sure, if you want to play like those guys, maybe Casas right 1, 2, 3, but leave the rest alone.
I like your call on Tampa. In the survey today, my random homer was Junior Caminero. I don't mind. I'm not going to fully stack, like you said, but I might pick off a Tampa Bay hitter or two, and some are pretty cheap. Aranda's really, really cheap. He's got a lot of power versus righties. So I think he's interesting on the cheap, but 2.27 227 ISO, 333 WOBA on the season and over 100 play appearances against righties. So I do agree with you. Tampa is live for picking off some homers. I believe Pivetta has the highest homer per 9 on the season on this slate. He does at 1.81, a lot of fly balls as well. So a lot of Ks, but also a lot of fly balls that turn into homers. Okay, let's move on. I lost my page. I'm kind of bouncing around. This would be Kirkwood, Houston, Cleveland. Blanco taking on Cantillo. We did see there was some potential weather in this game. Let's give a refresh. Yeah, it's orange, yellow, and we talked about this pre-show, Kirk. We're like, yeah, I'm kind of ignoring this game anyway. I don't know. Is that where you're at as far as Houston? We got to throw somebody on the board here. But to me, this game is kind of uneventful all around. Where do we have the Guardians and the Astros?
Obviously, you can play Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor on any slate. They've got massive power upside. I like Manzardo a lot for a cheapie. I had to do salary savers today. I tagged him. Other than that, I'm all set with any of them. So I think mini stack at best for this team, and I put them at best lost or Sons of Anarchy. And then
you never could commit. You're making Steve choose.
Well, it's just all I'm saying is I'm giving Chop, like, if he wants to move it up one or move it down, I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's.
I hear you. But you need Chop to come in and clean it up, or producer Steve to make an executive decision.
Well, it's a two-man process. But anyways,
no run first inning this game. I have not thought about that, to be honest. But
I don't know. But
I don't know why we picked this one.
That bottom of that Astros lineup is something.
It's not good. It's not good. Myers, DeBone, Kessinger, Zach. Why did you cut off Zach Zenzo? Or maybe you didn't. Maybe you meant to imply 6 as part of the bottom as well, because that's not great either.
That is like the bottom half.
And no Yordan, obviously. Yordan not playing until the playoffs. I assume he'll be ready to go in the playoffs. They're shutting down.
Who knows?
He's not in for sure in the playoffs?
We don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
And if your
injury reporting is terrible.
It doesn't matter if you're even if you're actually in the lineup if you're a hitter and something that is important to your mechanics is hurt, then you're screwed anyway. We've seen it 1,000 times. It's just during a regular season, we just chalk it up as a massive slump when a guy's like has a sore knee and he can't really get into it. So who knows if he's going to come back and be healthy. If that's the case, then season's over anyway. But
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, who knows?
It's a free roll. It's a free roll.
It's a free roll.
It's essentially the Astros are now free rolling. So
yeah, it's free roll. You can't. What can you do with a hurt Jordan? You can't do nothing, man. Yeah, it was just a terrible year. Tucker missing like 4 months. Who misses 4 months off a foul ball off their
bone bruise? Bone bruise. Because Houston's a bunch of liars too.
Dean, right? They're not liars, Dean.
They call it a bone bruise. It's a lie.
Was the bone bruised?
There was more.
Do you have some kind of inside information we don't know?
I got access to the medicals.
You spying on Tucker's bone? You know if it's bruised or not?
I'm just telling you that they lied on that. Whatever
you can't get accurate reading.
All of a sudden, Dean is Dr. Chow. Who's the doctor?
Yeah, the medical. Yeah, I like what Rocket Sauce says in the chat that me and Kirk are like Starsky and Hutch, and Dean is the whiny guy in the. Like I didn't say it, but he said it. He said Dean is the whiny
Starsky.
guy.
I've seen the movie.
You ain't never heard the
great movie, huh?
Notorious B.I.G. rap? Starsky and Hutch stick to clutch. Come on.
No, I mean, I'm aware of the show, but it wasn't really in my wheelhouse. Okay. I've seen the movie before, which was
anyways. Fine. I like where Kirk has. They're fine. I would even gone lower.
Did you watch the 18?
No. Oh, and the TV show, yeah, but the movie
18 was electric.
18, yeah, Hannibal, right? Hannibal, Mr. T,
Mr. T, D.A. Baracus, is that his name? I'm trying to think of what the name of that character.
And then they used to try to throw MASH on top of it.
Didn't watch MASH.
Yeah, no.
I think MASH was way before 18.
MacGyver, maybe. That was a good one.
Possibly, yeah. I'm more of a MacGruber guy myself than a MacGyver guy, but all right, we're getting derailed. We're getting full. Well, what was the finale like in MacGyver? Anybody remember? How come that's not on the board?
Electric.
It probably was electric. There probably was some kind of gadget involved, my understanding, but did not watch that show.
Yeah, so put Houston down low for me. I'll put them in Sons of Anarchy. I have zero interest in them, so I put them in Dexter.
By the way, Chop, you quote Rocket Sauce when you like what he says, but now he's saying I'm with Dino on this Kyle Tucker hullabaloo, lies Houston. So yeah,
that's fine. He's entitled to. I have no problem with that. I'm not gonna. I will ask this question, Dean. When you lie, you typically do it for a reason. Like, what's the reasoning? Like he's not the guy's on the injured list. He's not in the lineup for 4 months. Nobody thinks he's gonna be in the lineup that night. Why? What is the lie for? It doesn't make no sense for you to. Maybe it's probably something that maybe it's a little bit harder to detect than Dr. Chow on the internet, buddy. You know, like maybe the people looking at the X-rays actually know what they're talking about. But I don't know. I digress.
So basically, what I know about this, I know about this stuff. So basically, if the bone bruise is like big, like large area, your body may have trouble getting blood flow back to the area, and that causes something called avascular necrosis of the bone. This leads to death of that part of the bone.
Jesus, this guy's he could have his leg amputated, and Dean's worried about an injury report. I'm unreal, man. Unreal, Dean.
Chop, did you confirm the Astros in the gutter hanging out with Dexter?
Yeah, they're punting the rest of this year. They won the division title on Tuesday night, and they have not looked back since. They are still popping champagne. I don't know what's going on. So yeah, I agree with his rankings.
And Cleveland as well. You're good with. Well, let's move on, Chop. Next game is a meaningful game. Atlanta certainly playing meaningful games this time of year, as is Kansas City. Brady Singer taking on Max Fried. Just a 7.5 total. It is paltry. Where do we have the Royals and the Braves, Chopper?
Yeah, finally, a game with some meaning for two teams. And this is a de facto playoff game, almost, not quite, but almost, close. I kind of actually think the Braves going to get to Singer a little bit. So I got the Braves up in Better Call Saul. I don't mind them. Now, Max Fried has had his issues this year. He's had his issues. Some people wonder if he's pitching a little bit hurt still or what have you, but he hasn't been great, but he has been a very good postseason performer. And like I just said, this is kind of like the postseason. This is kind of like a playoff game. He's very good at that. He can really buckle down and focus when he needs to. Therefore, and Kansas City's really been on a monstrous, terrible streak, other than winning like an extra innings game the other night. They've been in the gutter. So I'm putting them down in 4. Sons of Anarchy. I'd rather have Max Fried than that KC stack.
By the way, KC basically in, right? 97.5% chance to make the playoffs. And in part because Minnesota's been worse. You say KC's been sputtering. Minnesota's been worse. So they have Minnesota to thank. Now, that's kind of what we're looking at. This is the Fangraph stuff. Fangraphs, the projections, 3.4% chance for Minnesota because they've lost so many games. I think they basically have to win out. And, Detroit is 1 win away. Detroit wins, they're in. I guess they need Kansas City to lose as well. Atlanta, of course, the Mets, and Arizona, those 3 teams are battling for the last 2 spots. And it's all kind of even, according to Fangraphs. 58% for Arizona to make the playoffs, 77 for the Mets, 64
Dean, I don't want to cut you off, Dean, but don't listen to those idiotic
What do you mean?
percentages.
It's math.
No, it's not math. It's their opinion. That's not real math.
Look, I don't think it actually is. I don't think it is an opinion. I think it's math.
That is their opinion based on the way they have their algorithm set up. That's not.
What's your issue with what I said? By the way, what's the one that stands out? Do you think is wrong?
Because a lot of these things that say, 99% chance of winning in this game. Look at the table. It goes up and then it drops down. Like, do you know that 99% means 1 out of every 100 times a comeback will happen? Right? That's math. And for those comebacks to happen like constantly means your 99% is full of shit, Dean. Like it was not 99% to begin with. If it's constantly kicking the bucket, and you're 99% chance to win and you still lose, like no. So those algorithms are all weighted with some kind of bias in some way. They're not real. They don't mean nothing. Don't listen to that garbage.
All right, we have Kirkwood. Are we good with this as far as Atlanta and Kansas City? We do have to pick up the pace because I didn't realize how many games we had. Crunch time's coming in 15 minutes or so. It's Taylor. It is Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, and of course it's Kevin Roth, chief mineralogist. So we do have to pick up the pace. Kirk would be good with Atlanta and Kansas City.
Yep, I don't want to mess with Fred, and I like Atlanta offense to go off in this spot. So, yeah, all good. Let's go.
Okay, this is the big boy. At least from our perspective, still a 6.22 team total for the Dodgers. There is no Will Smith. There is no Max Muncy. There is an Ohtani. There is a Betts. Lux batting third. Cal Quantrill at home. Big dog here. -175 is the Dodgers. Ben Kasparius is throwing baseballs for the Dodgers. I think he's just an opener. Feel free to confirm. I'm going to confirm now, but I'm pretty sure it's just an opener situation here for LA. Kirkwood, Dodgers, Rockies. What do you got?
Yeah, it's my understanding this is going to be a bullpen game for LA, but maybe I'm wrong. I haven't heard anything lately, but I mean, obviously against Cal Quantrill, this is the spot, the Dodgers. But I mean, Ohtani's going to be getting every stat he can get, right? So yeah, 8K. I don't care.
He's 8K.
You know what? Yahoo finally changed the price of Ohtani for the first time this season.
$30.
They made him 21.
What was he?
18 the entire season.
You played every game.
Never moved. You
played him every game.
It's just one less line. You had to start every lineup with him.
Talk about mailing it in. Talk about
that's mailing it in. That's mailing it in. From the start, they mailed it in.
Yeah. There's Teoscar. I mean, it's easier to stack now, easier salary. With Gavin Lux up there, I mean, he's going to be extremely high owned tonight, I'm sure. But I like Kike. I like Pies. So they're in the best spot. Games in cores, you got to put them up top.
Chop.
Yeah. LA for sure. I had number one. My only Breaking Bad team of the night is you almost have to go that route. And Colorado, I mean, lost is fine. I put them up one. Yeah, I put them up in Better Call Saul. What the LA bullpen is already pretty bad.
It's trash.
Pretty bad anyway.
I don't like bullpen games, so it's like you gotta mix and match. It pinch it and gets enhanced.
If
this guy go 3 innings, maybe 4 innings, you might get out of this guy. He threw 59 pitches, 3 innings last time out. So
Yeah,
Probably a little bit longer than
if you got a good bullpen and manage it the right way for a bullpen game, I absolutely do not want to ever stack against that with a good bullpen the right way. That's tough. That's tough. But the Dodgers aren't that. They're still probably hungover with a bad bullpen. Probably not even going to use their really good arms.
Hudson.
Yeah, you're probably not going to get anybody who would be in a playoff game in leverage innings probably won't even see foot on the mound tonight. So I'll take Colorado and better call Saul.
I've got to earn my pay real quick and give Rocket Sauce the answer to he wants the best Yahoo play today. Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, what? Geez, this is why.
Okay, you talk about a guy not mailing it in. That guy, he wants his 66. He's so bad.
Oh yeah, every time he gets on base, he's swiping. He's swiping for sure. And you know when like Roberts pulls out the stars, he pulls out they're up by 7 in the 7th inning. He pulls out bets. Ohtani doesn't get pulled. He's the only guy sticking around. He wants his last at bat. He got that third at bat, the third homer off of Brujan for the Marlins, the second baseman, and it was an incredible game. I don't want to put an asterisk by it, but he hit the third homer off for a shortstop. Anyways, is that a clock ticking sound? Are you guys hearing this, or is that just me? I think Steve is telling us the clock is ticking, and it is. Executive decision. We're not going to go back and forth. Chop, just give me your answer, and then if for whatever reason, Kirkwood, you vehemently disagree, chime in. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next game. Mets, Brewers, Manaya, Montas, Chop, this is yours. Where do we have the Mets, who absolutely have something to play for? Milwaukee, not so much. Manaya definitely is throwing to get into the playoffs. I would give the playoff percentages, but Chop doesn't want to hear it. Those are all made up. That's all nonsense.
It's not made up. It's their algorithm, but their algorithm is flawed.
You got to teach them how to run an algorithm. If anybody knows,
I might be able to do that. I might give them some pointers, Dean. Now, do we want to? I know we're in a rush here, but do you want to get into some of the pointers of an algorithm?
We do have time. I would love to hear them.
Do we have time to
hear them? We just don't have time for it.
Well, you cut me off. It was now or never, so you don't get them.
Can I slide in your DMs?
Milwaukee against Manaya with like Milwaukee's done deal, nothing to play. I got them down in 5. I don't want Milwaukee. They're we're far off the playoffs.
This is what I'll say about the Mets. They do have that loser in them. You know what I mean? Like they have where it could just all unravel and I wouldn't be shocked if Milwaukee goes nuts. And it would just be so.
You vehemently disagree. You had to chime in. We had the whole. I said, unless you vehemently disagree, so you don't. Oh, and producer Steve was like to see there. Yeah, but Steve put the Mets at Breaking Bad. Chop, you didn't, right? I don't think so.
No, I did not say anything about the Mets as a hitting team yet. That was just the Milwaukee, but yeah, I actually think Mets against Frankie Montas, they got something to play for. Milwaukee again, you're not gonna. I know you got a long. Milwaukee will be playing on Tuesday, right? They won't. I think they start on Tuesday.
I think. Well, yeah, because the Mets and the Braves are playing 2 games on Monday.
No. Well, they still because they're not one of the top 2 seeds in the league, so they'll be starting early, which means basically you don't want to use Devin Williams, overuse him in this series. You don't want to use your leverage arms here, so you're probably not even get a good part of the bullpen. So
they've already talked about shutting playing guys 5 innings. And
let's. So I'll put the Mets in 3. I wouldn't put them in Breaking Bad. Milwaukee's garbage. Mets somewhere between 2 and 3. I'll let Kirk break the tie.
No. There's no tiebreakers. We have no time.
If I call a tie, he has to break it for me.
Who are you tying against? There's no tie. It's just you.
It's myself. I know.
You're tying yourself.
See, that's how teams work, right?
You can't tie yourself.
I'm stumbling. I like them both equally. Yes. I'll let Kirk put it over one way or the other. Same thing.
I can't.
Well,
this is not a tie. I need help. I'm going to the bullpen for the righty, the lefty here. I'm going to the bullpen. Bring in Kirkwood. Who is it? Who break the tie for us, Kirkwood?
All right, we're gonna put him down in loss just because I want Steve to feel the pain to put him down next to
No, we're not. Sorry.
Baltimore, Minnesota. Oh, great. Kirkwood is Baltimore. Cade Povich taking on Pablo Lopez. Lopez, one of the better pitchers, and Minnesota fully motivated despite being, reeling from all their losses. Kirkwood, where do you have Baltimore and Minnesota?
Minnesota is going to tee off on this loser Povich tonight, and I love them all. I love all the Minnesota bats in this situation. So we're going to put Minnesota all the way up top, and we're going to take Baltimore and stick them down on the bottom where they belong.
I'll just chime in and say that Minnesota is going to do their pinch hit nonsense. It's a bad lefty starting for Baltimore, and there's a very real chance.
So who's going to pinch hit nonsense? So that's the first batter, Margot, or
Margot, Farmer, and are the two big ones, and possibly.
So you play 2, 3, 4, 5, and you got a hell of a stack.
Margot is like popping up in algorithms and stuff like that.
I think he's playable. Yeah, he probably gets pinch hit 4, but he might lead off with a dong.
He might get 2 or 3 at bats. He might get 2. If Povich is like done after like 2 times around, Larnack is sitting over there. Julian is sitting over there.
The most fraudulent season out of anyone in the history of baseball as the Baltimore Orioles.
Do you want to break the tie and throw up the chop, or we're just going to move on?
Throw him in Sons of Anarchy, down, or Dexter.
All right. Chop, Texas, and the Angels. We got to get the knockers in too. We got to get the Juggalo bombs. We got to get it all in, boys.
Last show to CD.
We can't make them wait forever. They'll just leave.
They're not even in studio yet. These prima donnas.
Yeah, they're not even. It's because it's not. Tim. If it was Tim, Taysel Tides, he would have been here 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. All right. Texas is feeling the effects of what it's like to play into like November. For a year, they're feeling the effects. They've punted it in. They've mailed it in for the last 2 months. They're garbage. I put them in 3 because Reed Detmer is equally garbage. LA, no way, no chance. I'm going to go against DeGrom here. I put him in 5.
All right. I don't hear a discrepancy, so we're going to move on. 3 more games, San Diego, Arizona. This is a very meaningful game. Both teams jockeying for playoff position. Arizona trying to get in. San Diego jockeying for position. No Padres lineup out just yet. Darvish taking on Kelly. Where do we have the D-backs and Padres?
What kind of position are they jockeying for, San Diego? I really don't know.
Machado was talking after last night's game, like bummed about losing, but he's like, yeah, this next series against Arizona, it's like a playoff series. I think they're talking about home field, wild card home field stuff. I think that's what he's talking about.
I love Arizona in this spot, so I'll put them in Better Call Saul. I mean, it's easy to just play these guys that have the motivation because the rest of the stuff I don't know. But as far as the Padres against Merrill Kelly, lukewarm. I'd put them in lost.
No lineup just yet for San Diego, and I assume they're going to run out their regulars, despite now they're mathematically eliminated from winning the NL West. 2 more games: Oakland, Seattle. We did get the Oakland lineup. Sears taking on Wu. It's pretty standard for Oakland. Butler, Rooker, Blade, Soderstrom, Brown, Giloff, Wilson, McCann, Hernandez. All right. Chop, where do we have the Mariners, Athletics, Sears, Wu?
Oakland against Wu, 4. Sons of Anarchy. Not a huge fan tonight. Seattle. Been pretty gutless for a while now. How gutless do you have to be to blow a 10-game lead? These guys are terrible. Yeah, JP Sears is not great, but Seattle's trumps him in not greatness. So they're in 4
Seattle
also.
A 10-game lead? I don't remember this. They had a 10-game lead at one point?
They did have a 10-game lead at one point.
Well, they came through for me when it mattered most, the day after the Astros champagne parade.
Yes, we had that one pegged in the secret chat, Dean, for sure.
Yeah,
thanks. Appreciate the heads up, boys. All right, Kirkwood, St. Louis, Giants, no lineups just yet. Miles Michaelis.
By the way, on the record, I would put Seattle up because I feel like this is, first of all, I like 1 through 4. I like 1 through 5. And
you like Dylan Moore?
Yeah, he got some speed and some pop. He strikes out a lot, but I find playing him. But I feel like it would be so Seattle to just go off now. That's all I'm saying. We're in the last game, the Mikolas.
His very last game he's thrown for the Cardinals. I assume it is. They're going to finally get away from that contract they had with him. Good ballpark to throw baseballs in. Of course, not a great strikeout pitcher, but he is one of the paths to get to more expensive hitters. 5.5 on DK. Where do we have the Cardinals and the Giants? Kirkwood.
The Giants you could put in lost, but I'm actually siding with Miko last night, and I'm totally good playing him. Like I said, Chop had some great analysis. I couldn't have said better myself on that subject.
You couldn't have.
No. And, not get a lot with Case, but you might give him a boost here or there. And then for San Fran, how bad they've been. But he doesn't walk guys. In this ballpark, he could have a very efficient outing. He's got a little motivation on his side tonight. So I like him. So I would put at best, and I'd be fine with going lower, but at best I would put San Fran in loss. And then on the other side of the equation, I mean, they're just so gutless, St. Louis, period. In that part, I don't really have any interest in them either. So I'd put them in Sons of Anarchy.
Crunch time is here. We do want to give the people the knockers. We want to give the people the Juggalo bombs, the BBP suggestion of the day. Chop, can you give it all to them? Hopefully, you hit the like button. I've not looked. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Hit everything. And Chop, if you can, college football. Any college football takes as well tonight? The people are asking. I believe Miami is playing some football this evening.
Not really. Not really any hot takes tonight for college football. Miami's good. Virginia Tech's probably due to hang within that spread though, so I'm not really any hot takes, to be honest with you. But maybe Rutgers. Maybe I like Rutgers a little bit, but that's there's nothing like strong there. But BVP, Will Smith got washed. All right, that was going to be the suggestion of the day. He's out. Had to do a double take on the algorithm. It's definitely not as strong, but we'll go Connor Joe. I can't leave the people with no BVP suggestion of the day. We'll go Connor Joe.
What are his numbers?
Yeah. Pedestrian, but it is what it is. What
are his numbers for the BVP?
Connor Joe?
Yeah.
I don't have it up in front of me. It's just the name that popped up.
It's just what the algogram spits out. Like it is what it is.
Sorry, I asked.
That's not the only thing that counts.
I overstepped my boundaries. I apologize.
Never question the algorithm.
I already closed that page because we're trying to. All right, so Dean, I wanted to do something a little bit upon Kirky's suggestion, but I didn't want to get too risque with it. Sure. I wanted to do something a little bit different with the knockers because everybody's doing now. If you tune into Twitter, you can't help but see somebody doing a walking bet. They're doing a walking bet, and that has a little bit to do with knockers also, if you know what I mean. But they're doing so I'm going to do walking knockers, Dean. We're going to do walking knockers today.
Okay.
This is a guy who could hit a knock. I'm changing it up. This is a guy who could hit a home run, but also can walk a high rate of walking. And those
you want that?
Yeah, because if hit a home run, then the walks are fine. We can pop it up. No, got to be in the same lineup. Got to be intertwined like that. So Stevie, listen up, your boys, the Mets. I'm going Brandon Nimmo, Jesse Winker, a couple of left-handed walking knockers today.
You made Steve happy. Give him the Juggalo plays here, Kirkwood. See those walking knockers and raise them with the Juggalo bombs.
All right. Well, I'm going to say
prepared for this?
Spencer Horowitz. And I'm actually going to say George Springer, even though you want the lefties against I'm going to say George Springer gets a dinner tonight. And I'll say Spencer Horowitz kind of go feed off of Chop's pair. I tried to say that we should have gone out and called them fun bags, a guy that can swipe a bag and hit, but that fell flat, and Chop didn't want to do that. So
it fell flat, and you still felt the need to put it out there.
Well, it fell flat. I didn't want to get us in trouble. Fun bags might be a little bit too much.
All right. Seamless segue to crunch time. Taylor Smith, Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood, as well as Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Let's go ahead and bring in crunch time. What is up, boys? Roth making the face. Roth making the that's
these
the appropriate
guys.
Face.
How are these guys still on YouTube? How is this allowed?
Don't give me any shrapnel. Don't say these guys. Name names.
Yeah, Dean.
No. The fun bags? We got to do that. That's for next year. We're bringing in the fun bags. The walk-in knockers. I mean, this is fabulous stuff, guys.
I'm just hosting the show and trying to dodge all the shrapnel. But by the way, speaking of hosting the show, let's get this out of the way. Appreciate y'all watching the entire season, like for real, on the real. Everybody participating in chat, joining the conversation. It makes the show so much more fun. And if you didn't watch, there wouldn't be a show. This is the last baseball show for me. I know there's a baseball show tomorrow. Shout out to Dave, by the way. Shout out to Dave. Cheeseisgood. The musings, as good as ever. 6 months. I honestly, genuinely don't know how you do it. It is always good, and you keep it interesting. In baseball, a lot of monotony. I write like 2 or 3 times a week sometimes, depending. And even then, I find myself writing the same things. Dave, congratulations on your pending hibernation.
Thank you. I'm always super ready for it. Yeah.
There you go. And Roth, I would say congratulations on the thanks for doing all the forecasting for baseball. Thank you. But also you have football, and it's always happening.
And I've been off for like a month. There hasn't been any rain, so
You've been coasting.
Yeah, it's been all right.
Anything else, boys, before you step aside and get out of here, make way for crunch time? Chop, anything you want to say? Last baseball show for you, or have you said it all?
Basically said it all. I do want to reiterate or ask Roth if he can please find some time in the next 12 hours to do some college football weather with the hurricane stuff, just in case, just in case there's anything going on.
Oh, someone must have missed my tweet.
No, I saw it, but I was thinking maybe something. You know how weather changes constantly, like real quick on a dime. I was hoping
it's fluid. You know that, Roth, right?
Yeah,
it's fluid.
God, do I know?
Hurricanes change paths and stuff real quick, just in case, But
so to be clear, I know
you're
7 minutes ago. It was 7 minutes ago.
I know you're. So
you're asking me,
you're getting mad at me. Okay, wait a minute. You're getting mad at me for not seeing a tweet. I'm on the show for the last 90 minutes with Dean.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys, let me step in here. Time out. Let's call this what it is. Roth made fun of Chop for bad football picks. Chop is let's just let it out. Let's air everything out.
And I don't know if you saw who's at the bottom of the chart these days.
Well,
we talked about it.
Yeah, we had a conversation about
that guy or that guy.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened there. You called me out and then you tank, man.
Yeah.
What
to
happened?
Be fair, I had a good excuse. I did not make any picks last week, so that is why I lost all my picks. So.
No, I can see it. They're all blank. What happened then?
Well, I'm back. I was actually hoping one of you would make fun of me for it and call me an idiot. It's because my grandma died, so I was hoping I could be like, that's why.
But
it's okay. But nobody really threw me under the bus, so I didn't have that as ammo. But anyways, I'm back on it. I think I can even recover and still beat you, even just giving up.
You're not that far away from Brid Divine.
He's giving you a spread, Josh.
You're not that far away from Brid Divine. You can get it.
All right, let's get out of here, Kirkwood. I was going to say, Kirkwood, anything else to say, but probably I thought better of it. So, Kirkwood, you're
thank you. Great season. I mean, you got to think about the roads that we paved this season. We've got knockers. Like that's a bit that is just going to be around forever, I think. So this was a great, successful season. Dave, thank you. Roth, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the crunch time, guys. Thanks, everybody, and let's crush football from after tonight.
That's Roth. He's going to take it away. Take it away, Kevin.
Man, what a way to end it. Good stuff by the crew, as always, all season long. And welcome to it. We are back for one final weekday edition of Crunch Time. I think we still have maybe some weekend shows ongoing, but this is it for this crew right here, and it is one of the sharpest crews in the biz. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. The man's so nice he won the Millie twice. Here to close things out. Cheese, how are you, man?
I'm good. I'll tell you something. We missed the most bizarre, amazing bookends to the season by about 6 minutes. I don't know who will remember this. The first crunch time of the year was like 11 a.m. or so, or noon on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And right when it started, my yard guys were right outside my window for the first time in a month. They just left 6 minutes ago on a Friday. They're supposed to be here on Tuesdays. I'll just start with that. Like
right.
that, I think they were really trying to start and end the season on this show with us. They just left it.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny stuff. But anyway, they're gone. I'm here one more time, and we'll talk about this weird little slate.
We are happy to have you here. How'd you hold up in a storm? Because I know that kind of went through,
it was
right?
Nothing. I mean, it was like to your average. No, it was less than your average thunderstorm.
Oh, great. Okay.
Teeny bit of wind, and it just rained for a while.
Okay, good. I'm glad it worked out for you. I was worried about your horse, Boomer, of course. That was
he was fine. He had to stay in a little longer than he wanted, but
okay. I'm glad. I'm glad you and Boomer and the fam are doing okay. And then we got Taylor in the house as well. I think another fresh haircut, looking sharp. What's up, Taylor?
I did get a haircut today. Thank you for noticing.
Pretty much once a week, right?
He's got to.
Once a day. Yeah.
I think it grows super fast is what's happening.
Yeah. For now, it does.
Yeah.
But
how are you? How you feeling? How you excited about the end of the season? Are you bummed? What's your vibe? What's your mood here?
On the weekdays when there's nothing going on between now and NBA, it might be a little boring, but for now it's fine. I'm happy to be here. on the last weekday show of the year.
Hoosiers hang banners reminding the whole world it is Mr. Steal Your Girl, Taylor, Mr. Steal Your Girl in the house. It's true. It's true. He and my wife went to school together. I'm lucky that he didn't swipe her then. Have we decided you all went to school together, or did I make that up?
It was the same school, I remember. I don't remember.
It's the first time I'm hearing of this.
I think it was at the same time, at least in some version, like, maybe different years, but I think y'all were at the same school at the same time. That is all irrelevant. What is relevant is giving the people some winners, and we generally start with a little weather forecast. Where's that been all season? That was fantastic. I think the bottom line is that you do whatever the hell you want, but I am at least a little bit nervous about either a delay or a late start in New York, and I am a little bit more nervous about a delay or a late start in Cleveland. In both spots, I think they're just going to play through light rain. Like, if you ask me what do I honestly think is going to happen, I think they're just going to play through light rain. And that's why I think you do whatever you want. But neither of those are the safe spots. So if you just want to do something super safe, stay away from those two games and everything is fine. Cheese, is that cool by you?
It is there. One of the main pitchers is in the New York game. So
okay, let me
but
just
I'm not hearing you
timing.
say it must fade or anything.
No, it's light enough. If this rain were to move in right now, I could see them late starting. But I don't think it's heavy enough for them to stop play, right? Because teams won't start in light rain, but they will play through light rain once the game has started. And I think that is the very likely outcome in New York. In Cleveland, I would say a little bit more worried that rain is going to be a little heavier, but it's also going to be kind of off and on. And I think they're just going to battle through it. And I think they're just going to play. So that is where I'm at in both those games. If you want no risk, avoid both those games. But I think it probably works out. With that out of the way, I think we can just dive into the rest of the slate. It's a big one. Geez, I assume it's better than yesterday's because we didn't like that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's big, but like equally muddled. Like, you get to the end of the year and essentially no pitchers have like the same kind of ceiling as usual. So we're stuck with this big clump of pretty good pitchers, but like the better the pitcher gets, either the lower his pitch count or the worse his matchup. It's just kind of a weird,
right?
I don't know. End up with
Cheese. Is it fair to say that like if it's a good pitcher going and it's a playoff team, you're like, well, we don't want to push him. We need him for the playoffs. And it's a good pitcher going for a non-playoff team. You're like, well, we don't have any reason to push him. Who cares?
Well, I would be more happy playing a guy pitching for a team that's out of it, because it's the last start of the year. It doesn't matter. You can let him go 120. Okay. He's off for 6 months.
Yeah.
But though, the only guys I'm really worried about are on pitchers on teams that have already clinched, which is Carlos Rodon, who I still think he probably gets his 90 pitches in 6 innings because they have the first round bye, which means he has plenty of rest anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm not really that worried about his pitch count. And then we have the Jacob deGrom situation. I think he's still going to get 3 innings and 60 pitches. And I don't want him. I think it's silly to play him. He's almost he's going to be fine because he's Jacob deGrom, but he's only made 2 starts. He hasn't been like the best pitcher of all time version of deGrom. He's just been fine. He's getting 12 DraftKings points. I don't know why you would want that for
not at
8,400.
Yeah.
I understand if you're playing him, I have 0. Brian Wu got added to the equation midday. And we don't have a clue in the world how long he's going to pitch. Seattle's out of it now. They've kind of been careful with him most of the year. I think he gets his usual workload, which is 85 pitches of a generally low strikeout guy. And I think he's going to be kind of popular now. I don't know. I don't really like him. He's in the mix. He's fine. The guys I have the most of, which I don't feel super amazing about any of it, it's Sean Manaea, whose game matters immensely. Manaea and Max Fried are the 2 guys, and Pablo Lopez, I guess, as well. They're playing for teams that these games matter. So they have, if they're pitching well, they have no pitch count limit, but they could also get yanked earlier. They're not going to let them hang out there to dry. If they're struggling, they're gone.
But that's kind of irrelevant if you're trying to win a tournament, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Minaya in particular is like has been so strong down the stretch. Like as the season moves on, the better he gets. A lot like producer Steve. Just like it just keeps going up and up and better and better. So I love Minaya. Jose Barrios kind of the same thing. Like he's been unbelievable. Like 400 straight quality starts or something. But he's not quite the strikeout guy these other guys are. So Minaya, Pivetta are my main two, followed by Barrios and Taj Bradley, followed by Max Fried. And then Carlos Rodon is right in that mix as well. And then after that, I'm going all the way down to nonsense Miles Michaelis for 5,500 in San Francisco. Like he will probably score the same amount of points as Jacob deGrom because he can get more than 55 pitches and he's in San Francisco. So just give me the mediocre pitcher throwing strikes for 5,500 if I can't get up to at least Pivetta. And then the other guy I think you have to toss in the mix as well as stack against him early and often is Reed Detmers. He's shown the super high ceiling and also the ability to give up 7 runs in 2 innings to bad teams. So like super wild cardy, but I do think you play a little bit of Detmers in MME.
Okay. And then Cheese, just to recap, because that was a lot of names, your 2 favorites, you think? Do you have 2 favorites?
Minaya and Pivetta. But just barely. Like this is the most spread out I've been. Like I don't think I have anyone at 40%. Usually I'll have a couple guys at 50 or 60. But yeah, Minaya, Pivetta, followed closely by Barrios, Bradley, Fried, and Rodon.
Okay. Good stuff. Taylor, I want to bring you in here and talk about what you're doing on DK with 2 pitchers. And then already some people asking about FanDuel. We'll get to that in a bit as well. But what do you think, Taylor?
Yeah, it is very muddled. Hard to feel good about anything. I'm fading Grom as well. It's just, I don't see the point. Like, I know he mowed down 9 Angels and strike them all out, and that's fine. But if that doesn't happen, which it probably won't, you're left with, like Cheese said, like 12 DK points, and I just don't see the need for that at 8-4 on DK. So I am playing a lot of Woo at the same salary. It's not overwhelming, as now I have like 40% or so. I do think he can get 80 to 85 pitches against Oakland. Maybe they're sad about leaving Oakland after yesterday. It's a good part for pitching too. It's weird with Woo because he is pretty limited in general usually, and they have nothing to play for, so they could just throw him out there for 3 innings and that's it. But I don't really see the point of that either. So I do kind of expect a normal-ish workload for him, which is not great, but it's okay for this slate. After that, I do like both pitchers in the Boston-Tampa game. Pivetta and Bradley both in the 8K range on DK. Qualms, they're pretty good strikeout stuff, good enough matchups. Getting a bit of Fried, and then after that, it's kind of just a crapshoot between Detmers and Michaelis on the cheap end. And I really don't want to mention anyone else. I'm not really getting to Minaya either, but I do think he's a perfectly fine play. So it's Woo for me at the top, tentatively. And then Pivetta, Bradley would be the next tier down. And Rodon, I forgot to mention in the free tier.
Okay, a lot of names again. Let's switch it here and talk about FanDuel. I assume with this many names, there's some pricing differences going on. Does it change, or is it kind of the same guys for you, Taylor?
It's mostly the same stuff. I think Rodon is not necessary at 10-6. You can get similar output from guys like Pivetta and 3, Brian Flat at 8-7, being save. I don't really think paying all the way up for Rodon makes sense, especially since they clinched. I don't really think they need to run him out there for necessarily a full workload. So happy to save and play one of those guys in the 9K range.
Okay. Cheese, you have any names that you want to throw out? Maybe slightly clearer?
Same thing. Other than Rodon being more expensive, there's really no difference at all between the sites. Like they're all essentially the same price. I still like Minaya and Pivetta the best.
Okay, good stuff. Guys, let's talk about the bats. Let's talk about the stacks. Taylor, lead us off. Let me know who's scoring 12 runs. You know what is really unfortunate is that the Cubs game was not on this slate, because I had never seen a game that was more likely to go 1-0. Like if you could put a bet that a game would just end 1-0. I was certain that Cubs game was going 1-0 with like 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts blowing in. And it did. It went 1-0. I just wanted to rant about that. That was just, wouldn't it have been great?
It would have been nice to be able to play Tyone in that spot, 7 scoreless. And even without strikeouts, he's going to be good.
Yeah, you just know. It was just a lock that game was going to end that way. What is the lock, Taylor, tonight? I don't want the game that's going to go 1-0. I want the game that's going to go 11-10.
So your best bet for that is probably Coors. We have the Dodgers there. It's not a full-strength Dodger lineup. They clinched last night, but they do have Ohtani. They do have Mookie in the lineup. No Freeman, no Smith, no Muncy. So it's not as good, but it's also cheaper. That's easily the top overall stack on the slate. I think they're the only that run total of 5 and over 6. So pretty clearly the top spot and going to be pretty popular by default on this slate. There are other good spots. I think Colorado on the other side of that game is interesting against a bullpen game. I'm assuming you're not really getting the full, like the good Dodger relievers in a game that means nothing to them, essentially. So I'm okay with that, and it's still Coors. I like Texas quite a bit. I don't think we have a lineup yet, but they're facing Detmers in a good part for power in Anaheim. He's been kind of hit or miss. Strikeouts are there. The walks are high. He's home run prone. Not a great lineup either with Seager out, but I do think they're a pretty good value stack. They have a couple of guys in the 2K range, assuming they correct the lineup. That look decent enough. After that, there's not a lot of clarity. I think Toronto's a good stack against Adam Oller. Baltimore against Lolo, so it's a must-win game for the Twins. But we didn't really mention Lopez as a pitcher, but it's a good enough offense for Baltimore. I think they're an okay enough kind of differentiator stack. Don't mind San Diego against Merrill Kelly. He's been pretty mediocre overall, especially against lefties. The lefties in the Padres lineup, and then Tatis and Machado, of course, stand out on the right side. And I don't mind Miami as a cheaper kind of mini stack against Barrios.
Okay. Cheese, can we just play the Dodgers? Can we just play, like, what is it, 8K Ohtani and just be like, they're going to score 25 runs? Is that allowed?
No. I don't. I'm not sure how popular I think they're going to be. Like, I think they'll be like 10% owned. Like, the pricing is so extreme. And really, when you look at it, you take Muncy, Smith, and Freeman out, it's 3 great hitters and some people who are way overpriced for how good they are. Like, I think they're a horrendously terrible stack.
Okay.
I really do. I think it's a really bad play.
Okay.
I hope everyone does it.
And you're saying they could still score 10 runs.
They should score 8 to 10 runs.
Yeah.
And that's totally irrelevant. Like, it's not going to help you at all. So I have like one Dodger stack because in like 50 lineups, eventually I want to play one Coors Field team on the road. I think it's a bad play. I don't like it. And I don't really think it's going to be that popular. I don't think you're fading it because of ownership. I think it's a salary thing.
Okay.
Not because I think they're going to fail. Like, they're going to score runs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's silly.
So what
after that,
yeah,
I like the Twins, the Mets, and the Rangers and the Blue Jays. Those are my top 4, followed by the Rockies. But it's all pretty close. I do have a bunch of everything. But I think Twins, I think the Mets are the team that kind of grew on me as the day went along. And I like the Blue Jays on DK because they have so many cheap guys. And then the Rangers are cheap for their upside as well. So those are my favorite teams. But I have essentially everyone down to the last place Dodgers.
That's wild to me, but I get it. 8K for a dude is not easy to fit in. Okay, let's talk position by position. We'll start at the catcher spot. Cheese, what do you like?
As always, really, it's pretty good. With Will Smith out of the lineup, like, you're not spending up. I mean, you can't even really if you want. I mean, it's Contreras kind of expensive, but I think Raleigh's the only guy I really particularly care if I get at all. And after him, it's salary savers, which is Garver, Kirk, and Heim for the most part. And then I do like the Twins catchers as well. But yeah, most of my lineups are either Raleigh or Kirk, Heim, Twins.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at catcher?
I have a lot of Heim, which is not good, but I think the spot's okay enough, and he's 2,700 on DK. I'm going cheap here in general, like guys like McCann and Fortes and Stacks. Alejandro Kirk for Toronto, I think, is pretty good. Getting to Yainer Diaz, just kind of because the position's pretty underwhelming, and he's in a decent enough salary on DK. Yeah, that's really it. I'm not interested in catcher on this slate.
Okay. Well, then we get to move to first. But before, I want to bring up this important note from Steve, who says, why are we not at 200 likes for the final show? That's a good point. I am honestly slightly offended. It is the final show. And if you've watched all season long, or you're just watching for the first time, and you're like, oh, I don't want all these people begging for likes. I don't want to. Well, this is the final one. This is like someone just came out and did a curtain call, and you just got to tip. Do you tip? You cheer. You're cheering for the curtain call. That's all that like is. So hit that thumbs up. Cheese, you ever get a curtain call?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Certain venues like do that 100% of the time, regardless of anything, which is silly.
What if you just like played a whole show and you did all the things, and then they were asking for a curtain call, and you didn't have anything left? Where you're just like, huh?
Well, there's no such thing as that. I mean,
it's always something.
I've never played a 72-hour show.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
you've always got something in your arsenal, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. We're at 400 views. We have 86 likes, and we have 152 votes. This is not from one of us. This is from whoever Naked HD is. Bottom line, hit that thumbs up. Taylor, what are we doing at first base?
Yeah, Vlad Jr., I think, is one of the top pay-up options against Aller. Don't mind punting it fully also with Justin Foscue if he cracks the Texas lineup. Nathaniel Lowe, Detmers has a reverse split. So Lowe, lefty-lefty, I think is okay. I'm getting to Jake Berger as always, even against Jose Barrios. Otherwise, it's really just stuff in stacks. Michael Tolia for Colorado. Ryan O'Hearn for Baltimore is a decent value. Carlos Santana for the Twins looks decent enough. And Zach DeCenzo is another cheapie I'm getting to a little bit.
DeCenzo. I like the way you said that. Let's see. Cheese, what do you got there first?
I kind of like spending up to be a little different with Olsen and Christian Walker. I think Vlad is I like better than those guys. But even though we're not showing it, I think Vlad gets the ownership in that pricing range. So I like some Olsen and Walker as well. I like Spencer Horwitz better on FanDuel, where you can play him at second, but I'm playing him some on DK as well. Carlos Santana, a key part of the Minnesota stacks. Also kind of like Alonso as a spend up to be different.
Okay. What are we doing at second base, Cheese?
I guess Marcus Semien is the guy I want most on DK. On FanDuel, I like Spencer Horwitz. You can also play Mookie Betts or Edman at second. It's a little more reasonable to play the Dodgers on FanDuel. But then you also have Ozzy Albies at only 3K there. On the DK side, like Semien and Albies and maybe a little Brandon Lau are like fine, but they're kind of too expensive. Assuming Jake Cronenworth plays, I like him. Gleyber Torres. The punts are not great, but it still might be worth punting because the spend ups also aren't great, but it would be more of a in stacks kind of thing. I think you can get away with like Dylan Moore now that he's in the lineup. Kyle Farmer, even with the pinch hit risk, I think is fine just to get cheap. That's it. There's nothing great. It's all kind of okay.
Okay. Taylor, second base. What do you think?
Semien is the one I have the most by a lot. I'm just getting to the Rangers quite a bit against Reed Detmers. the Dodgers have 3 guys you can play here on DK at least. Kike Hernandez, Chris Taylor, and Gavin Lux. Taylor and Kike are the cheap of the two, but really not cheap. Kike in particular is 4K on DK. Don't love that. I think Leo Jimenez is an okay enough cheap play at 2,700. Brendan Rodgers in your Colorado stack. I don't hate Brandon Lau either as a one-off or in a Tampa mini stack with Pavetta's home run issues.
That is fair. How about third?
Third base, Ryan McMahon, the headliner here for me at 5,100. Getting to the Rockies a lot, as I've said. Unfortunately, getting to some Marlins, but Connor Norby is one of the few Marlins I feel okay about. Decent value too. I always like Machado here at third, 5K flat on DK. I think he's fine. Otherwise, it's stack guys as well. Mark Vientos, if you want to get the Mets. Jordan Westberg for Baltimore looks fine. And Junior Caminero, one of the better Rays to get to as well.
I like it. Cheese, your thoughts at the old third base spot?
Mostly Royce Lewis. Playing way too much of him. I like a little bit of Ryan McMahon, Mark Vientos, Manny Machado. Jose Ramirez is a little pricey, like totally fine to play, and I have some, but not a priority. On FanDuel, I would play Vlad at third. And that's really kind of it.
Okay. Then I guess we get to talk shortstop. What do you like, Cheese?
It's back to being a pretty good position, although the top guys do have tougher matchups. Like Bobby Witt against Fried makes him a very low-owned superstar, which I like. Lindor is my favorite of the spend-ups, followed by Gunnar Henderson, followed by Carlos Correa, followed by Ezekiel Tovar. And I really love all those guys. Like, these are great players. They're expensive and pretty much all in just kind of okay matchups. But I think Lindor and Correa have the best matchups of that group. And essentially just spend up because it's shortstop. And out of those guys, like one of those guys is going to do something.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, I think Tovar is the top one for me among the spends, but I kind of like them all. Witt, Gunnar Henderson, Tommy Edmonds, your overpriced Dodger here, but he's okay. Of course, shortstop outfield. I think I'd rather play him at short. Josh Smith, I don't mind. Lefty against Detmers. I think he's in the lineup for Texas. And then Xavier Edwards is the Marlin of the position.
Okay.
And that little pop-up in the top right there is pretty depressing. Justin Foscue and Sandro Fabian out of the lineup. Like, those were two of the best cheap plays on the slate. They really were. Going to have to rework some things there.
What position was that for those guys?
First baseman and an outfielder for Texas, both essentially minimum salary on DK.
So what are your thoughts here as you now have to get rid of these dudes? Are you sticking with the Texas stack?
Yeah, it doesn't change the Texas stack at all. It's more that, like, those were the fill-in guys in lineups where you want to play Ohtani and Witt. Like, that's what made it work. So it's like the lineups that they were in have to be totally reworked.
Interesting. Okay. No direct pivots to some other guy who's 2K and palatable. Yeah. Okay.
No.
Good notes. All right. Well, let's go to the outfield. Taylor, you get to lead us off there. I had someone ask, is Ohtani going to be 100% owned? And I'm assuming with a price tag of 8K, he will absolutely not be nearly. He's not even going to be very owned, I would think.
Just chop 1-0 off of that, and you'll be
right. If he was 2K flat, he probably still wouldn't be 100% owned, even if he should be. So don't think he will be at 8K either. Paying up for Colorado in the outfield, Charlie Blackmon, Brenton Doyle. It's wild that Brenton Doyle is 6,200, but I guess he's earned it. You do have quite a few Dodgers here. Pages, in addition to Ohtani, Pages, Teoscar Hernandez, Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts also quite pricey at 6.8 on DK, so not easy to get to him either. I like Tatis as someone who's not going to be very popular. On the cheaper side, you have Profar and Merrill, the Merrill versus Merrill matchup there. Merrill Kelly against Jackson Merrill. My favorite outfielder, dollar for dollar, I think is Wyatt Langford. For Texas, done quite well against lefties this season. And I like the stack in general. Adolis Garcia, also pretty cheap, 4K flat. Nathan Lukes for Toronto is an okay value. Jonathan Clase, same thing for him, quite cheap. Jesus Sanchez, another affordable outfielder for the Marlins. And I don't hate Kyle Tucker as a one-off either.
Okay. I got a quick question here since we're talking outfielder. This is Taylor from never mind who it's from. I can't say that on air. It's in the YouTube chat though. It is, can you help me out at outfielder 5K and under single entry? Taylor, do you have a guy 5K and under in the outfield for single entry?
Probably Blackman is the closest one, but Wyatt Langford's under 5K. He's 4,200 if you don't have him. But if you're looking to not leave a bunch of salary on the table, I would say Blackman.
Okay, very good. Cheese, your thoughts in the outfield?
The spend ups are certainly good. By all means, play some Ohtani, Betts, Soto, Teoscar, Doyle, Tatis, Carroll. It's all very nice and fine and good. But especially now that we don't have the 2K Rangers, like I'm a little more mid-tier focused. I think my highest owned players are Buxton and Adolis Garcia, with Wyatt Langford being right there as well. Brandon Nimmo, I like a good bit. Most of the cheap guys that Taylor mentioned are the same ones I'm interested in. But I would rather not do too much punting here because I really like that sort of 4K range on DK, which is like the 3K range on FanDuel. You throw a couple Seattle bats in there like J-Rod and Rosarena and George Springer for Toronto. That's really where I want to live. So I would just rather do 3 mid-tier rather than get 2 expensive guys plus a punt.
Okay. Quick weather update, and then we want some home run calls. There are a batch of showers that just popped up moving into Cleveland that just has me a little nervous. I was hoping they would start on time and then just fight through the rest of the rain that's coming through the remainder of the night. If they announce a late start, I would be increasingly nervous because teams typically don't start in light rain, and there's going to be a lot of light rain. So we'll monitor this. If Cleveland announces a late start, I would strongly consider changing some things around. Not saying it's a definite washout, but that would increase my just overall nervousness about the entire situation. So just a heads up, something to monitor here. If they do not announce a late start, then I think we can assume they're just going to do everything they can to play in the rain. And that whenever you get light rain,
15 minutes. So this is 15 minutes. So they got to let us know pretty quick.
Exactly. Yeah. The issue being the rain is going to move in about 5 to 10 minutes. So it could be a late start that gets announced like right there, right before the game. So just a heads up, maybe stay a little bit flexible on that. What else do we need to talk about? I know I want to win you guys some money. And if you're looking to take your game to the next level without breaking the bank, check out Combo Lite. This powerful product, you get access to all the tools you need to dominate your leagues. You get the sim tools, the stat databases, expert advice all in one place. And the best part is that it's designed for both casual players and serious competitors. So whether you're playing for fun or chasing a big cash prize, Combo Lite has you covered. Check the link in the description for more info. Let's give the people some home run calls. Taylor, you can lead us off.
Sounds good. I will take Ezekiel Tovar. I will take Wyatt Langford. And because I feel like I say him every single day, and it worked the other day, I will go back to the well with Jacques Berger.
Oof, I love that. Cheese, you got a few names for me?
Sure, I do. My favorite part of every show, Kevin.
I know.
Byron Buxton, Brandon Nimmo, and we need a random cheap guy, of course. People like random cheap home runs. Tyler Soderstrom.
Okay. Let's see. Got a few questions coming in here. Edgar says, "Oh, it's pouring here now in Cleveland." You must, yeah. I mean, it will be raining pretty good. I don't know about pouring where the ballpark is, but again, if they announce a late start, I think we need to be a little bit cautious there in Cleveland. Cheese, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I feel like the more I say, the more shit I'm going to get myself into. Cheese, what is your favorite stack? Taylor, you can follow with that take your time. I've got to like get information out while I'm hosting. So give me a sec.
For a single entry stack, I would go Mets to be a little different.
Taylor?
I would take Texas with the Rockies being the honorable mention. And the good thing about the Cleveland game is that it's kind of one of the least attractive all-around games on the slate from a fantasy standpoint. Like pitching is irrelevant. The lineups don't look great. Don't really want to play anyone there. So it's kind of just a leftover for me.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what kind of QQs we've got. I think we're maybe 6-7 minutes until lock. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Cheese, don't forget, we need to get your thoughts on the World Series teams and the eventual winner as well. Kind of put you on the spot with that last week.
Better start looking at who's in the playoffs right
now.
now.
Yeah, you better figure that one out real quick. Let's see. Taylor, I'm coming to you from Steve O, DKGPP. How likely is it that Dave Roberts plays games and starts pulling his stars in, say, the 6th-ish inning?
I don't see the point. Like, if he's starting them, I assume they're going to play. Plus, the Dodgers are competing with the Phillies for the #1 seed, so they actually do kind of have something to play for. I wouldn't be worried about Betts or Ohtani.
Okay.
If you look at their lineup, they don't. It's not even an option. Like, because two of their starters are out already, and one of them's hurt. The only guy on their bench who's not a starter is Kevin Kiermaier. Like, he couldn't even do shenanigans if he wanted to. Like, it's not the old days of 40-man rosters. Like, you can't even pull guys if you want to because there's no one there.
Yeah. Okay. I miss the old days of 40-man rosters. Bring that back. That was always fun. Let's see. Cheese, is Tovar projecting better than Lindor on DK?
I don't know.
Cheese projects it in his head. So, Cheese, in your head, do you think Tovar is projecting better than Lindor?
I would be certain the bat has Tovar first, and I would guess ours has Lindor first. And that is correct. So the bat always has a bigger boost to cores, and we usually have a bigger boost to matchups.
So you're the tiebreaker then. You were the tiebreaker.
Well, I have a little more Lindor than Tovar, but I like them both. They both have all kinds of upside.
Okay. Let's get this question from AC Dog. He says, hey, Cheese, FanDuel GPP, Farmer or Castro to complete a mini stack? Thanks for the insight all season long. You're welcome.
I would Castro on that one. He's less likely to get pinch hit for.
Great. Taylor, back to you from J Sam's FanDuel large field GPP in a Arizona stack. Do you think it's okay to go Pavin Smith over Gurriel? And is Story okay as a one-off? 34 and under left at shortstop.
Yeah, I think Smith is totally fine over Gurriel. 34 left at shortstop. Story's not my favorite guy on this slate. Trying to see if there's anyone else I might play over him. I mentioned Leo Jimenez there. Ernie Clement in the same lineups also 3-4 on DK.
Okay, great. Taylor, right back to you here. FanDuel single entry. This is a Oakland stack or a Cleveland stack. Which do you prefer?
I would take Oakland, but those are two teams not really on my radar today.
Fair enough. Cheese Razzle Dazzle says, DK Cash, your favorite outfielder at 4,100 or less?
Adolis Garcia.
That was quick and easy. I like it. We'll go to Anger's question. Cheese, FanDuel GPP, Pavetta or Bradley?
Teeny tiny lean to Pavetta, but I have the same amount of them.
Okay. Shout out to Paul. Paul's been hanging out with us essentially all season long. I recognize the name. He says, hey, you guys did a great job all year. Very helpful. Thank you. Thank you for hanging out with us. I know the season's a grind, so we appreciate you sticking with us all season long. Let's see. Any insight on how to attack a showdown slate in the playoffs? This is a very interesting question. Cheese, once we get out of regular season MLB and you start getting into showdown MLB, which is what I assume he's talking about here, is that something that you play? Is that something you monitor, know about? Or are you like...
So I play that at the level that I play like NBA or golf or NASCAR. Like I just throw a random lineup in while I'm watching TV with no thought. Like I'm not any sort of expert on that. And I don't have any useful insight because it's just like I'm just clicking buttons while I'm watching TV.
Yeah. To be fair, you're also very successful at those things. So it's like, you know, yeah, you got something.
That's why I threw golf and NASCAR in there. I'm not
Okay.
successful.
Okay. Let's see. Taylor, coming to you. DKGPP. Taylor, maybe I should ask you that same question. Do you play like single entry baseball? Is that something that you feel you have an edge on?
I might play a bit in the first few rounds when it's like multi-game slates, but once you get into showdown with World Series and CS and things like that, I don't really dabble in it. So kind of the same strategy you would employ though normally, just kind of if there's an overwhelmingly chalk SP1, maybe just play a few bats against him, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, great. Let's see. DKGPP, Taylor, thank you. Thanks all year. Steve-O says, yep, shortstop under 3K.
You said that was DK?
It was DKGPP short under 3K.
I think Leo Jimenez would be the one I mentioned before. That's my guy.
Okay, great. Cheese, back to you here. Tovar and Garcia or Lindor and Springer, parentheses, in a Toronto stack.
I like Lindor Springer.
Okay. Shout out to Anger, who says, hey, appreciate all the info throughout the season. Always look forward to tuning in. You're very welcome, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see what else we've got. Cheese, any interest in Povich against the Minnesota team that is collapsing? DKGPP. They're collapsing, Cheese.
I do not have any interest in.
Okay. Jim says, Taylor, the 2 night games, thoughts on Roop, El Roop for DK? Roop?
Bridge too far for me. I would not play Roop today.
Okay. That is fair. We are moments away from lock and our final goodbye. Is this a real person? Thoughts on Jared Jones, DKGPP, Taylor?
Yeah, that's a Pirates pitcher facing the Yankees. I'm not playing him, but I don't think it's crazy with the watered down Yankees if you want to.
Okay. With that, by the time these words get through your screen, we will have roughly hit lock. Oh, someone just tagged me and was like, I've got a question. Don't. Oh, he just said, thanks, boys. Oh, the World Series question. That's it. We got to get to the World Series question before we go. Cheese, you've had a moment. You've looked at, all the teams in the playoffs. You have a deep insight and a deep knowledge. You get to go first. And Taylor, I want your take as well. So start thinking about who you got winning it all.
Yeah. First thing we should always say is there is nothing more random in sports than the baseball playoffs. Like the best teams do not win. It has nothing to do with who the best team is.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows that if you're a semi-serious baseball fan. But it's wild how much the average human who vaguely knows about baseball doesn't understand that. And like last year, like when the Braves lost, like people around here were like losing their mind. I don't understand it. And everyone needs to be fired. I'm like, stop.
Yeah. Your job is in baseball is just to get to the postseason.
You are absolutely flipping coins in the postseason.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I can tell you who will be in the World Series. I can't tell you who's going to win. But I can tell you it will be Cleveland and San Diego.
Cleveland and San Diego. Lock it in. I'm taking a note on my phone right now. Cleveland and San Diego. Taylor, you got a few teams for me?
Definitely San Diego. I think they are the team I would pick to win it if I had to bet on that. I'll pick the Astros because they always seem to get there and oftentimes
if
win.
It gets in, if it's close, they'll cheat. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Easy now.
Yeah, I can't really ask for much more if you're betting. Like if you know they're going to cheat to win, then all in,
right,
baby.
yeah.
Right.
Do what you got to do.
I too am going with Astros, and no one mentioned the Dodgers, and they're apparently the best team in the universe, right? So Dodgers, Astros, and give me the Astros winning it all. Astros,
and then maybe if we have to reevaluate if in fact Ohtani starts pitching in the playoffs. I don't know how you just don't go with that, but
then you gotta then you gotta pick them, obviously. Okay, hey guys, great stuff all season long. Taylor, Cheese, thank you for hanging out with me, for making this easy on me all season long. Shout out to all the hosts that I've worked with. I obviously know nothing about baseball, so to have really smart people, but also people who understand I don't know anything and can help carry me through a show is really fantastic. I appreciate your guys' work all season long. And all the viewers, thank you. It has been a grind as always. We're still going to have content out. We're just not going to be doing the show. My weather forecast will continue all the way through the postseason. And of course, we've got everything you could ever imagine with other sports going on, especially with NFL. So make sure you sub to RG, hit that like, hit that subscribe for Cheese and for Taylor and for our wonderful production crew. Shout out Steve, shout out Devin, shout out everybody that's been helping out there as well. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.